If you're an Android user looking for the best way to eliminate a minor satanic infestation in your house, there's probably an app for that, I would guess. I mean, I haven't spent a lengthy time on the Android store, but while you're using that app, you should listen to your podcast on the Podcast Republic app. It's got thousands of great reviews touting all of the wonderful features it has. I love that when you favorite your favorite shows, they download without you thinking about it. So check out the Podcast Republic app on the Google Play Store. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am Count Tripp, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, a man who I feel was as afraid of using the toilet as I was the first time he saw this movie's box cover, the Macho Man Drew.
Andrew Leno. I thought you were going to go for like a Renfield situation, like a Renfield to my...
Yeah. No, I was just trying to think of something spooky, and I thought I was like, I'll come up with it as I'm saying the words.
That's always a good idea.
Yeah, well, I have a pretty good amount of improv training, so I felt like I would get there. But sometimes you leap without a net and you fall and bang your knee, and then you have to just keep going. That's fine. We, of course, are celebrating one of our favorite things, the annual Spoooktacular.
Thunder Crash.
Starting off with a movie I have been curious about seeing for the better part of 25 years.
Me too.
Ghoulies. So you know what that means.
We gotta go back. We gotta go dissect the 80s. It's your lazy, barely a movie. Something's gotta be done about your lazy, barely a movie.
When the mega powers explode.
It's time, Michael. Do not make ends of move.
Get away from him! And where the hell's Corkscrew?
Halloween.
Wolfman's got narc!
Rest in peace.
So let's before we get into this, I feel like this, frankly, is more interesting than the this movie. This story that I'm going to tell is like 10 times more interesting than this movie, which is a low bar. This is not the greatest story. Yeah,
it's a curb.
I was recently talking to some folks about the video store memories and visiting the video store as a kid, and we got to talking about the movies that you weren't allowed to see, and we had pretty loosey-goosey rules as far as seeing movies go. There was the one restriction, and this says a lot about me, I think, but the one restriction I vividly have is I couldn't watch Clerks. Mom was like, absolutely no way, no how, you're not allowed to watch Clerks. And I really wanted to watch Clerks because I had seen at least one other Kevin Smith movie at that point. Our older brother really liked it. Like 16?
Okay.
15?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So our older brother was into Kevin Smith, and I think he gave me Mallrats, and I watched that, which is definitely also R-rated, but not quite as raunchy as Clerks is, for sure. But for whatever reason, Mom adamantly was like, you cannot watch Clerks. And I remember being very excited the day I turned 17 because I was like, guess what I'm doing today, Mom? I'm watching Clerks, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Lady.
Yeah. And it's funny because like this also says a lot about me. It was a tape that we owned. Mom had that movie for whatever reason. I don't know if Gig recommended it and then she bought it. Yeah. But I could have just like at any point watched it. Like at any point I could have just, of course I could have watched the movie. And the other thing that's always amused me about this is, I was the Terminator for my 4th grade Halloween costume. I was the Terminator 2.
Hannibal Lecter for 7th, 8th grade?
No, Hannibal Lecter was before that even. But I will say Hannibal Lecter, I never saw the movie. It was because I saw the local news when the prison security people got tasers for the first time, or maybe the police got tasers for the first time. There was a news piece about the fact that they got tasers. It must have been prison folks, because they were talking about how you see high security in movies, and they played a clip from Silence of the Lambs where he's getting wheeled off the plane in the straitjacket and thing. And I was just like, that is the scariest, coolest thing I've ever seen. That's what I want to be for Halloween. Yeah, no, it's super right. And mom was like, all right, that's a pretty easy thing to pull off. So I was Hannibal Lecter years before I saw that movie. I mean, years before I saw that movie. People were very confused that this child was being Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, I imagine.
They were probably like, wow, your parents are terrible. Anyway, so I wasn't allowed to watch Clerks, and then finally I was like so excited to watch it. But then we got to talking about things other people had restrictions like, oh, you can't go watch the scary movies, no scary movies for you. Like they weren't allowed to. And I had the realization, which is probably also true for you, although you were a little braver than me as a kid. I had no need for a restriction about horror movies. Like there was like I would always do the thing where I'd like walk down the horror movie aisle, and just seeing the box covers would scare the shit out of me as a kid.
See, I remember I would walk down the horror movie aisle and be like, get that like little like pitter patter of excitement. It was like, ooh, what's gonna give me? I knew I could never bring them to I knew I could never get them. I knew I could never actually rent them, but I could see them and be excited. And I think the only restriction I remember is that I guess I got to a point where I stopped being brave, and I wasn't allowed to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? It came on like I want to say it was like Sundays at 9. It was like the last thing of the weekend, and Mom was always you are not allowed to watch that show. And I remember being like, why? And then it scared like the scariest episode of that show, and I maintain it. I see it on lists of like the scariest episodes, and I'm like, I feel vindicated. Like I wasn't crazy. It's the pool monster where there's this like drippy skeleton ghoul, red skeleton ghoul that comes out of the pool. And like
I played that for a Halloween movie night a couple years ago.
That episode holds up.
No, it was good. It was definitely good. I will say, still to this day, as a full grown man, putting on an Are You Afraid of the Dark and the like and a creaky swing and stuff starts, I pucker a little. Yeah, there's a little. Not gonna lie, it's a little goose fleshy. Yeah, it's good. It's very effective. All that to say, I have vivid memories of I would go down the horror aisle, even though I knew it was a bad idea. It was like wanting to touch the fire, so to speak. You want to like push yourself a little.
How close can your hand get?
Exactly. And so I would go down the aisle, and it wasn't like I needed to be scolded not to do this. I just like knew better and was doing it anyway. I didn't need the protection of Mom being like, now you can't rent any horror movies. You probably shouldn't even go to the aisle, because it's like, I know this. I'm aware that I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now, but I would, TTT. And so this movie's cover is so ubiquitous, not just for us, but all over. I posted on our Facebook and Twitter pages, about a week ago, a stock image of a toilet. Like I took a Home Depot, I searched for toilet on the Home Depot website, and I took a picture of a toilet, and I was like, here's the clue for our next episode. And I posted this stock image of a toilet on both social medias. And it was like, anybody know what it is? And within 10 minutes, a different person on each one was like, Ghoulies. It was instantaneous. Like this movie's box cover was brilliant. And so I was like very, very excited to watch this. What did you think this movie was about? Did you do any research? Did you know?
I knew what this movie was about because about a year ago, I think another podcast that I like covered Ghoulies, the Dead Meat podcast, and they went in. They were like, "This is not the Gremlins ripoff you think it's going to be." They're like, no, because they broke it down, and I like half remembered watching this movie about how terrible it was, and I did purposely not go back and listen to. I'm like, I waited till we recorded this. Like, I'm going to listen to it as soon as I'm done recording this, so I can remember what they said. But yeah, I was like, went in kind of knowing that this was not going to be what's on the tin. Yeah,
I was expecting not necessarily a Gremlins ripoff, but sort of Tiny Monster Mayhem, or kind of like, oh geez, it just fell out of my head. But there's another 80s movie that involves tiny monsters. They come out of this rift in the backyard.
Chud?
No, I want to say it's called The Gate, but I was expecting sort of mysterious creatures come to a town and cause mayhem and yeah, it is the gate. That's the one I was thinking of. It's apparently there's apparently two of them, but I was thinking of there's a rift in the ground and these monsters pop out, or there's any number of ways.
This movie feels like the equivalent of like you get home and you like put the chocolate syrup on that you just bought on your ice cream and you take a bite and you're like, oh, I got sugar free.
Yeah,
like you're like,
yeah.
Oh, I grabbed this is what I normally get, and like, oh, it's a sugar free one.
Yeah, exactly. It's disappointing, and it's hard to put your finger on exactly what it is, because it's like almost a thing, but it's just not.
It kind of does the job, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. Tremendously disappointing is how I describe this, and I knew I was going to be disappointed the second I saw Charles Band in the credits, because he is a notorious cheapster and the man behind Parasite 3D, which is just ooh boy, what a waste of a time of my life that was.
Yeah, it's a shit. I feel bad that I don't like this movie. Like I'm like, I feel like this is one of those classic bad good horror movies, but like it's just not good. It's boring and it's lazy. It feels like, I don't know, because you're a writer and I imagine you have probably always been a better writer than I, but in like 6th grade when you're like, I'm gonna write a story, and it's like, I told my friends we're having a party, and then the next paragraph is, we're at the party and it's fun. And you're like, and the party's over and I'm going to bed. And you're like, it's just, there's no thought of pacing or anything. It's just, let me here's why.
Yeah.
I have a magic necklace that does everything.
We have said many times that the worst thing a movie can be is boring.
It's the worst.
Movie can be like, that's the worst sin that any movie can commit is I just don't want to be bored. That is all. This is the lowest of bars, that when I go into a movie, I just don't want to be bored. Give me something to be entertained by. Yeah. And I feel like you can do that in a low budget way. Certainly Alligator didn't cost a lot of money, and I found that movie delightful.
Love Alligator.
And so it's like, this movie has a bunch of elements I really like. It's got practical puppets that even when they look like cheap puppets, I still kind of like looking at them.
They're okay.
You have a couple of like wildly drawn characters that I genuinely found amusement in and would have liked to spend more time with, but we don't get to do that.
Ooh.
I liked the insanity of the guy Toad Boy and the stoner guys.
Toad Boy could not get his neck snapped fast enough, y'all.
But I agree with that. But I'm saying, if I had 10 less minutes of the main couple and 10 more minutes of Toad Boy and the stoners getting into hijinks, I think this movie is a lot better and more interesting.
Maybe, yeah.
Because I'm just watching this couple go through weird couple fights, and it's like, this movie's barely 80 minutes long, because it has a long title sequence and it has a long credit sequence.
Yeah, it's just lazy. It feels like the best way for me to describe it. It's lazy and not really thought out.
Yeah. We'll get into it. We start with these crazy green eyes Satan worshippers doing this ritual with
At least these green eyes are good, because later they are not good. We'll get there. We'll get there.
I'm gonna put a pin in it, but oh my god, I have so many notes about the eyes.
Half my notes later are like, what's happening?
Yeah, yes. Okay, we'll get there momentarily.
So we're in someone's basement.
Yes, this is clearly a barely decorated basement that they had access to.
Someone went to Party City and bought a spooky dungeon backdrop that they taped to the wall.
Yes. It honestly looks barely a step up from, I was just recently at the Dollar Tree and they had these plastic, they're about 60 by 48 things you can hang on the wall that look like a graveyard with skeletons in it and like spooky ghosts. It looks about that good.
Yes, and this guy is leading some kind of demon cult ritual, and then the woman comes forward and is like, no, you promised. And I was like, oh, we're just diving in. There's no buildup.
I had this guy down in my notes as Discount Bowie from Labyrinth.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly who he wants to be. And we get this is literally 3 minutes in, and I already have questions, because we get a ruby slipper protection. The mom puts a necklace on the baby, and it's like the ruby slipper protection. Like, you can't, like, no, he goes to take the necklace off, and it does the sparks like the apple juice splashing off the ruby slippers.
Yeah.
And he's like, henchman, take the baby away. And I was like, well, why doesn't someone else take the necklace off? Like, does it affect everybody?
Can you I don't know, just like eviscerate the baby? Can you do other things to it?
Because if literally the necklace is the only thing protecting that baby, why wasn't he grown up wearing it? Like, why wasn't it like, oh, this necklace? I don't know. I've had it my whole life. Like, give me the the baby. The baby dropped off at the orphanage, and the necklace is the key to everything.
It's also 5,000 times more interesting if something happens that knocks the necklace off and that starts the descent into him doing this resurrection stuff at the house.
Yes, it is. I agree.
It's like, that's such an obvious answer to this problem.
Mm-hmm. Like, he takes it off to shower or something, and then it disappears.
It breaks.
Yes.
It catches on something and it breaks. Something easy peasy like that. They're doing home reconstruction projects. He could easily get this snagged on a nail, on a board, on a doorknob, but anything, and it breaks. And then he has like a spell come over him. It would be so much more interesting. And the other thing that is crazy to me is I don't want to watch this scene. Like, I hate when movies have these things, but it sort of does the Harry Potter-esque, love protection thing. How about we just torture the mom? Like, if you don't take it off, I'm going to break all your fingers at once, and then have someone snap a bunch of popsicle sticks behind the camera and have her screaming with her fingers all gnarled. You know, like do something. I don't want to watch grotesque stuff happen to this woman. I'm just saying, do stuff.
Well, but the problem is that, like, after the baby gets taken away, the mom, he casts a spell on the mom, and clearly that you can see the chest burster coming through her chest, because all of a sudden her head is locked in a back position with the mouth open. And you're like, look at this puppet.
Yeah.
And you see it push and push and push, and then it cuts to the outside of the mansion, and she screams, and I was like, are you kidding me?
I guarantee the effect didn't work.
You have the only audacity to show me all of the buildup, and I don't care if it's bad at that point.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And also just like put more fake blood on it if it's bad,
Oh my, everything in every shitty effect is saved with more fake blood.
Yeah. I also, I don't want to let this go by, even though it's useless and nonsensical. This is a dollar store Randy Quaid that takes the baby away.
Oh, the guy who becomes the narrator later and we don't realize it?
Yes.
Whose character disappeared and never came back until the end. And I was like, well, where have you been the whole time?
Yes. So the Ghoulies hide, and now we cut to Jonathan, the baby, who is now 21 going on 45.
He is so fucking old looking. And like, I don't mean to say that as a like hair flip. I'm a young looking 28. This boy looks rode hard and put away wet.
He looks like Pete Gallagher now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
like middle-aged, bordering on, actually Pete Gallagher is probably 60, so I think he's above middle-aged, like bordering on old Pete Gallagher. And that's not to be shady to Peter Gallagher, who's a fine actor. I'm just saying this guy has Peter Gallagher's hair and then
it's
his
just like
face.
He's supposed to be in college, I think.
Yeah, he's actually my age in real life filming this movie. He's like 30, almost 35. And I was like, holy shit, 35 looks different in 1985.
It's a roof-looking 35. Textured skin.
Yeah, he also just like his hair is a little bit gray, right? Like it's just starting to be
a little
gray.
far back.
Yeah. And again, this is not a criticism of this person, but why is he playing someone in college?
He's
like
playing
what the
a
hell?
22-year-old, and I'm like,
this makes absolutely no sense.
He's actively, aggressively not 22.
Yeah, like come on. And even if it's like, oh, he's just finishing grad school, he doesn't look 25 either.
Yeah, no, he looks like I'm going back to college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got my GI Bill and I served 2 tours and now I'm home to get a degree, which is fine. Like this again, like just
totally
cast
cool,
somebody
totally
younger.
valid.
Yeah,
but like write the character or cast the actor for the role or change the role.
Right. So we get to this spooky basement that is like full of satanic materials, and everyone's like, he's just like, huh, that's a bunch of weird decorations, isn't it? And then goes right back upstairs and is like, well, guess I better throw a party.
Yeah. Like, again, the pacing makes no sense.
And I really like, I'm constantly talking about how I never see commercials, but I've seen a couple recently watching horror movies on random streaming things. And there's a, probably it's an insurance ad. I don't remember what it's for, but this new homeowner like goes up to his attic and he flicks the lights on and there's just all sorts of creepy stuff. And the guy's response is to be like, nope, and turn the lights off and leave. And I was like, exactly. It looks like the basement from, Cabin in the Woods.
Oh yeah,
Which is like anything you touch is opening some sort of spirit.
It's going to activate.
Yeah. And he's like, there's like a little music box with a dancing ballerina and then all these creepy mannequins, and the guy is just like, lights off, back downstairs. And I'm like, thank you, someone with a sound mind in a horror situation.
Well, so in the basement, there's like the demonic symbol on the floor, and he like brushes his hand on it, and I was like, don't do that because you're gonna cut yourself.
Yes.
There's going to be some weird sharp piece of glass or something on the floor. It's going to cut you. Your blood's going to get on the thing. And then you start a thing.
Yeah.
And then he opens the tiniest little chest in the world. And inside is the entire high priest outfit and the guidebook, the like how to Ghoulies.
The Necronomicon, the
For
Book
Dummies.
of the Dead. Yeah, exactly. It's got the yellow and black cover and those like goofy illustrations. Yeah. I also like, I will say, to say some nice things about this movie, there's a great comedy edit when he's like, we should have a party. And her response is like, what? No, is Becky her name? Yeah.
Sure.
And she's like, you can't have a party. And he's like, oh, it's not like anybody can wreck anything. And we smash cut to someone knocking over glass and breaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, that's good. That's really solid.
Yeah. Also, this movie is full of the worst looking fake wine I've ever seen.
It's really, really
it's
bad.
It's just red water, and they eat salads and only drink this red water wine.
And I always wonder, like, it can't possibly be more expensive to buy 2 bottles of crappy grape juice than the red food coloring. Like, it can't possibly be more expensive.
It might be a this is in my house situation. Like, I think
maybe.
Like someone might already own it.
The red water?
Yeah, the red food color. Like someone's like, oh, I have red food coloring.
Oh, we have it for blood for the props department.
Yeah.
Ergo, we can. Yeah, maybe.
Because when I was in a show where I had to eat pizza and drink wine, and the director was like, it's probably going to be a white wine and I was like, why is it a white wine? He's like, because iced tea is all I could find for cheap. And I was like, okay, I thought you were going to have like a reason why I would drink white wine with pizza. And you have to like mostly water with a few splashes of the iced tea to make it that yellowy color.
Yeah. This is where we meet Toad Boy, who is talking in a voice kind of like this.
I don't get it. There's no explanation for who he is, why he is.
We immediately find out that, yes, agreed. Like, utterly incomprehensible that this is a character choice that has no explanation in the movie. Like, just utterly incomprehensible that you would do this. But doubly incomprehensible is Mariska Hargitay in her first
baby Olivia Benson
has just gone on a date with this guy. She's like,
no way.
The very attractive Mariska Hargitay. Like, get out of town. This woman wouldn't give this guy the time of day. She wouldn't stop if he was on fire. Are you kidding?
Also, it's a house party, and the guy's girl, what did Becky, we say her name was? We decide?
Yeah.
Becky, I'm pretty sure, is making a pot of mashed potatoes.
She absolutely is.
I'm like, what are we? This is like, that's my kind of house party where there's like mashed potatoes,
potato bar,
mac and cheese. Like, I want all that, but that's not this party. That's not this vibe.
It's funny because later they have a dinner party, and I wondered if it was just because I think there's mashed potatoes on the dinner party scene, and I wondered if it was
mashed potatoes, a tureen of soup. It's where could they hide the Ghoulies?
Well, I think what they did was like, we have enough budget to make one round of party food. We're going to shoot those scenes back to back so the food can stay safe. And it's like, you're making mashed potatoes. And she's like, that doesn't make any sense. And he's like, I do not care. Keep mashing.
Charles Band is like, just for that, I'm taking $5 out of the budget wheel.
I hope you like hot dogs at catering because the pizza budget is gone now.
Everyone, thank Becky.
We're having a Bar K beef franks, $1 for 8.
Everyone thank Mariska Hargitay.
Had things to say about the mashed potatoes, so now you're all eating weird mystery meat hot dogs. So we smash cut to really bad breakdancing.
Yeah, and there's a Conrad Birdie-looking a-hole.
That's exactly what he is. I had him down as deep discount.
Danny Zuko?
Deep discount Danny Zuko is really, really good. That's better what I was going to say is James Dean. But yes, Danny Zuko for sure.
He's like, shoulders are twitching. He's like, hey, Sandy.
Hey, what are you guys doing? Hey,
I'm the hot guy. My name's Dick.
It's like very much Andrew Dice Clay vibe, but just like a soupçon less gross. Just like the merest difference between just like, oh, you're just flat disgusting and yeah. But they're like, so what do you guys want to do? And he immediately whips out a condom and he's like, hey, yeah, about this thing here. You got any of you ladies? I brought this. Any of you ladies trying to fool around safely, huh?
He flicks it like a fan. He's got 5 of them.
Yeah, it was honestly a half step above like a switchblade comb where he just like flicked it out and it had this special like and it comes up. Like, come on, what is this?
Or I'm picturing the like the wallet photo gag where it's just flicked.
Yes,
all the photos. He flicks his wallet and all the condoms roll out.
Yeah. His wallet, they show it. It has like 5 of those imprinted rings from the condom being in there for so long.
They're permanent.
It's the
stamps.
Olympic rings. It's in the Olympic ring shapes. Yeah, I was just like, who are these maniacs? What is this? What is this party? What is happening?
I have no idea.
And then
the party's over all of a sudden.
Well, it's not over because it's like, well, what do you want to do? What do you do? And the one guy's like, how about we do a satanic ritual in the basement? And everybody's like, yeah, okay, that sounds like fun.
No, because I think it's supposed to be the party is happening and now it's just the close friend. Like the party's over and it's just the close friends.
Oh, I don't remember seeing anyone else at the party.
So I think maybe I'm giving the movie too much credit, but I think in like the breakdancing scene and the kitchen scene, there's quote unquote extras, which are probably just like grips,
crew members,
and the best boy.
Yes,
they're like, hey, put on a shirt that isn't stained with grease and stand in the background.
You go eat those potato chips. And the guy's like, they've been out for 9 hours under the lights. He's like, I eat the potato chips, Derek.
It's like when you're at a barbecue and it's night's winding down. You're like, I'm gonna have one chip for the road. And you pick up a Dorito and it's like squishes in your hand. And you're like, oh.
Or it just wilts.
You go to
just like
you go to scoop dip and it just bends and it doesn't scoop anything.
You're like, oh, I guess it's not time to eat this, huh?
Frisbee. But yeah,
I most recently was at a socially distanced shindig, and the same situation, was drinking, and I went to, there was chicken skewers that had been made earlier, and so you weren't like touching, you could just pick up a whole skewer and not touch other food, and I went to eat this thing, and it was like, oh, this needs a dipping sauce real bad. It's like sawdust now. It's way past
cold,
prime.
Just cold sawdust.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it to me felt like, let's have a party. The party is happening for 3 minutes. Now the party's over. Sloppy writing. And he goes, right. I have an idea. Literally the line is, I have an idea. Let's do a ritual. And everyone's like, all right, no.
Yes.
What white nonsense is this?
I'll give you, sure, okay, we'll do a ritual. But the second time that someone like tries to kind of take the piss out of this, because he's being very serious doing the satanic ritual, and all his friends are like, you're wearing dumb robes. Somebody makes fun of it, and he kind of snaps at them, and someone makes fun of it a little bit later, and he snaps even harder. At that point, I'm like, oh, this is real, and there's a Tripp-shaped hole in the wall, as I just like, boom, I'm out of here. Like, you're actually trying to summon a demon. Goodbye. Not gonna stay for that part because I don't want to be
you know what? I just remembered that there's chips upstairs. Does anybody else want a bowl of chips? And I grab my closest friend's hand, and we leave. We're out. Yeah,
exactly. I need a fresh drink, or I have to pee, or any number of simple party excuses.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a girl missing from the circle here, and
that's also my cue.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go look for Jennifer. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no spirit sort of visual thing, but then we get this like sort of cool Ghostbusters effect afterward.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Ghoulies' arrival.
Yeah. But again, it's not super clear why. Like the cult, I guess, worships the Ghoulies, but the Ghoulies do what they say. So like, how are you being worshipped if you're just a servant?
Well, it's also deeply confusing because not only do we have the Ghoulies, which we can run down here in a moment, but we also have two little people who are
Come
also
out of
servants.
nowhere.
Right. And it's like, is this your army? Like, you have the ghoulies and these two servants? Like, what is the situation vis-a-vis?
And the two little people are literally dressed like Maleficent's henchmen from the original Sleeping Beauty, the Disney Sleeping Beauty.
I think they look like extras in Willow.
I haven't seen Willow.
Oh, it's like they got like weird skins on, and a couple of them have leather helmets.
Go look at the Disney Sleeping Beauty Maleficent henchmen. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
The movie with what's her face, or the cartoon?
The original cartoon.
Okay.
And
in any case,
the cradles.
I'm sorry, what was that?
And that was "And All the Cradles" as one of the henchmen.
Oh,
When she's like, "All these years you've been looking for a baby." Sorry, that is a great. Maleficent is a great villain in that movie.
yeah, I could see it. They do have a little. They're in the ballpark of these little creatures. That's similar.
They have like the helmet with the horns and the
yeah, it's in the ballpark. I still think Willow is maybe the better direct, because they're also people wearing various medieval clothing. But the same thing applies. In any case, they'll come up in a second. But is this when we get the rundown of all the ghoulies, or does that happen in a minute?
That happens in a minute. First, we have to see the clown puppet thing.
Oh, right. Okay, so this clown puppet, I am
Makes
convinced.
No sense.
Well, that's absolutely true. But I'm convinced this clown puppet is actually a Joker mask, like an actual mask of Cesar Romero. Yeah, Cesar Romero Joker. Like, it looks so much like him, and it's.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
It seems to me like what they did with Michael Myers, where they bought like an off-the-rack William Shatner mask and they messed with it to make that. I don't have any proof of this, because I tried searching information about this movie and it basically doesn't exist. Oh, no. There's a book that a super fan who ran a Ghoulies fan site for years made. Like, he did a lot of interviews. Hey, people like things. That's fine.
I'm not mad at you for doing what you love, but you can't tell me that's not funny.
Yeah. But he put together this person put together a book and did like a ton of interviews, and I genuinely did want to read it, but I couldn't find it for a price that I deemed reasonable for podcast research.
Fair.
Yes, which to be fair would have been extremely low. But I just wanted to know,
over
like
10. I'm like, no.
It was right around that mark, and I was like, I'm gonna read this, and I was looking it up while watching this movie, and I was like, we're never doing another Ghoulies. Sorry if you're a big Ghoulies fan and you were hoping for a Ghoulies run. Like, I am Mr. Franchise. There is nothing I love more than watching a movie.
If you go to Patreon and you pledge $50, we will do a Ghoulies movie. You can personally sponsor for just $50. You can personally sponsor a Ghoulies.
$50 for a year, of course.
Oh yeah, a full year of 50.
This is a full $50 a year pledge.
If you give us $600,
yes, yes, it will cost. Will cost $600, and we will do Ghoulies 2. I don't think Ghoulies 3 is our timeline.
You mean Ghoulies the college years?
No, Ghoulies Go to College is Ghoulies 3.
That's what I said. The third one. You said Ghoulies 3. Yeah, Ghoulies the college years.
Yes. Well, it's called Ghoulies Go to College.
Either way, it's dumb. I don't think you're making it better.
Well, I will say this. We'll get to momentarily. If Ghoulies Go to College was just Drooly Ghoulie actually going to college, I would watch that movie.
Which one's is Drooly Ghoulie the green one?
Drooly Ghoulie is the Drooly Ghoulie. He's always drooling.
You forget that I watched this movie like a week and a half ago.
Drooly
Ghoulie is this movie a week and a half ago.
All right, let's see if this helps. I've been working on this for like a solid week. Drooly Ghoulie is the one that was sound like this. Guys, are we sure we're doing the right thing here?
Is he the pointy teeth, the lots of pointy teeth one?
Yes, yeah, and his eyes are always wiggle waggling.
Yeah, he's not the green one. He's not the one.
No.
Okay,
no, that is toilet bowl green sperm Ghoulie.
Green sperm?
He looks like a sperm. He's got the smooth head.
He just looks like a baby.
No, he's got a smooth head and tiny little legs.
I think he just looks like a green baby, but okay.
And then we got Rat Ghoulie.
Yeah. That one I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't believe Drooly Ghoulie didn't land for you.
It probably will when I go through my notes. But again, I watched this a while ago. But so anyway, this clown puppet,
this dummy, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not part of the ritual It's not.
They're
part
just
of the
doing a
cult.
scene from Poltergeist.
Yes, that's all it is. That's all.
Yeah,
it is.
it's just literally lifting a scene whole cloth from a different, better movie, and there.
Because I don't like why. Because then later it comes to life again and it takes its mask off, and I was like, well, wait, I'm confused.
And it's when it does that, it's like a huge monster inside it, which isn't even a ghoulie.
No, nothing makes sense. Charles Band, how dare you?
This is where we find out Jonathan is dropping out of school. He tells Becky that, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna take a year off and spend it fixing up the house." Which we didn't say. He inherited this house from his dead father or uncle. I can't remember which.
It's dead father, and he's buried on the grounds, I think.
Yeah. So there's like a lot of ominous shots of this grave, Chekhov style.
That's the thing. It's a single grave on the ground. It's not like there's a graveyard or like a small plot of graves. Because I've seen like where
Well, they only
I've seen like there's like 6 or 7 graves next to a big house.
Yeah, but they only had the budget for the one gravestone.
You're telling me you can't be
yes.
Like, hey,
I'm telling you, yes.
Who in their basement in their Halloween decorations has some spooky gravestones?
You could nail 2 2x4s together convincingly, spray paint it gray, and make it a cross. It would be easy to do that, but they absolutely did not have the budget for that.
Yeah.
So they do a cleaning montage, and
He's
he
like,
finds
I'm going
the
to drop out of
Satanist
school
robes
to fix up this house, and his girlfriend's like, that's a terrible idea.
Well, it could be a good idea if you had the basic carpentry skills required to do that,
Or
but
if you
he
were
does
planning
not
on
appear
flipping
to.
it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, even if it was like, oh, we're going to live here, so I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to spend it fixing up this house so we have a nice place to live. Like, it will become a nice place to live over the next year, as opposed to living in this decrepit, cobweb-filled William Castle-esque castle.
Don't you dare besmirch William Castle's name with this.
Well, I'm just saying it looks like a horror movie set. Like, I would not want to live there. Like, I get that impulse. I think that's honestly not the worst impulse we've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah. So yeah, this happens over another shitty wine and salad dinner.
Yes. Very, very exciting wine and salad dinner.
How much you want to bet that this was a John Carpenter Halloween situation where at the end of each shot, they were like, all right, and they open a Ziploc bag and like put the lettuce back in.
Yep. Oh, for sure. That lettuce, by the time this shoot was over, was growing other little
growing
fungal...
new lettuce.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the leaves. And this is where the narrator... We're like at 20 minutes into the movie, and all of a sudden we have a narrator.
Yeah, you can't spring a narrator on us. You have to start your movie with a narrator if you're going to have a narrator.
Especially if your narrator was a character in your opening scene.
Right. Because I did not make that connection until the movie was over. Yeah.
But like, what the hell, movie?
So he does this montage where he cleans the house up, or he's starting to clean the house. He finds the Satan robes, and then he starts to forge a necklace, which is like a ludicrous thing to happen in a movie.
They expect us to believe that he carved a whole coin necklace in 3 seconds. And that's not an exaggeration. Yeah. It's 3 seconds of screen time that he like starts to carve, the camera pans to his face, and then he picks up the whole coin. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. And then, so he gives it to the girlfriend, who's like, "Oh, thank you. This is very nice, I guess."
It's just the cheapest looking spooky necklace you can find. Like you know that those stores that are like $1 or $2, and they sell like quote unquote party supplies and seasonal stuff. You'd find this necklace in that store.
I feel like almost everything in this movie
came from $1 or $2.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the clearance section. It looks like going to Spirit Halloween on November 3rd, right? Where it's like our lease literally ends in 48 hours. We are slashing and burning anything that is something we can get rid of, and
we'll give you $5 to leave with an armful of stuff.
And it's like some of this stuff is broken. Some of these things have been like reduced to 10% of sale of original cost because they literally are broken, and we just want to get rid of it without throwing it away. And there's people like us in there who are like, well, I could make this into a costume piece.
There's little spit shine, and I can make this.
Yeah, yeah. Because like later, I don't know how close we are to this, but like when you see the robes in full when he's wearing them, it's like, oh man, that is
They might as well have creases from being folded in a plastic bag.
Yeah, absolutely. They are the cheapest looking Halloween costume material you can imagine.
At least throw it in the bathroom while you take a shower. Jesus.
Put it in the dryer on low heat for 10 minutes. Like, just get them creases out of there.
I mean, I have a steamer because as a costume designer, I have a steamer, which is
right.
the best Like, seriously, I love. This is not movie related at all. I just love having a steamer because you don't have to crank out the ironing board. You don't have to worry about burning your clothes or is it safe. Generally speaking, a steamer is safe for all your clothes. It's great. It's the best.
Yeah, we have a little one. It's not as elaborate as yours.
The little handheld guy.
Mm-hmm.
They're great.
Yeah, I agree. So he's shivering near his dad's grave, which is supposed to be like a thing. And then this starts the part of the movie where he's like not eating, and the girlfriend is sort of being alarmed at this.
Not sure why he's not eating. That's not explained.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like he's just being sustained by ghost energy now, I guess, is the answer.
Well, he also says something about Payman, who is the hereditary demon.
Yeah, it is the hereditary demon. I got a little nervous when I heard that, I'll be honest with you. I have some bad memories of Payman. He and I did not get along well.
Yeah, no.
So he summons these demons and he begins to lay out just like a comical laundry list. It's like when little kids talk about, like, after they see a movie like Aladdin with a genie in it, and they're like, oh, here's how I'd get around the genie's restrictions. And they lay out just these like absurd A to Z plans. It's like listening to that. Okay, so number one, you're not allowed to harm me or people that I tell you to do things to inadvertently. Like, you can't do that thing where you carry out my words to the letter, but accidentally it hurts people. That's not allowed. You can't. And he's just like laying down the law of like what's not. It's like, well, all of these are immediately going to be broken. I am sure of it.
Yeah. You must be invisible to all but me. And I was like, how lazy is this stupid fucking script?
Yes.
That, like, you have to spell out for your audience. You have to do exactly what I say. Give me knowledge, give me power, and be invisible to all but me. Like, maybe just don't have them do a tap dance in front of other people.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems like a simpler solution.
And he's also holding the cheapest cardboard and aluminum foil looking ass scepter I've ever seen.
Yes. It looks like a Power Rangers prop.
No, it looks like when you're a little kid and it's a rainy day and your mom's like, you can't go outside and play. Maybe make something with your imagination. And so you grab some tin foil and a spare curtain rod and you're like, now it's a magic wand. He's also like, he went from 0 to Jonestown in like 3 seconds in terms of.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no descent. I really think what would be way better is if
any other movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the movie version we talk about, where like he has the necklace and it breaks, then maybe his dad's speaking to him and he's listening to the voice because the necklace isn't saving him anymore. You know, it's like a very simple edit. Yeah. So he summons Rain in the basement, which is honestly cool looking, but also
effect you got in the movie,
just totally insane. This is when the whole Ghoulie lineup happens.
Yeah, they're all
he's like laying out these rules. Yeah, so Drooly Ghoulie has really sharp teeth. He's always drooling, and he has very human-looking eyes that are constantly like looking left to right.
Because that's all they can do.
Well, yes, but
the puppet only has eyes that dart back and forth.
But I'm saying they're constantly in motion when they don't need to be. It gives this guy the appearance of like deeply, deeply in need of his Xanax prescription.
Or just
like
too much cocaine.
Yeah, like he might be. The bloodshot eyes does lead me to believe it's cocaine. But he's a demon. Presumably he doesn't have earthly, worldly troubles. But this is the kind of guy who looks like he's going like, I gotta make my mortgage payments, and my kids are going to private school now. And
demon with anxiety is the new sketch that I want.
That's what I'm saying. If the movie was Drooly Ghoulie goes to college because he's like, all right, I got to go back to school because I'm not making enough money. And I feel like an advanced degree will really help me in advancing to just like higher levels of management as a demon. And just like, I just really need this, guys. I really need to be going to school, and you really should support me. And he's just like, he's constantly drooling. I was so like kind of here for Drooly Ghoulie. I feel like he deserves his own franchise. I'm so interested about what his life is like, because he's the only one of these things that has any life to him. Those eyes, while insane and creepy and scary,
have life. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but he's such a nervous little Nelly. Every time you see you on screen, I'm like, oh, buddy, it's okay. Like, you're gonna be fine. Like, even as he was like actively killing me, I'd be like, don't worry about. I mean, it's fine. I didn't need that liver. Like, it's okay. It's okay. You're gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm. My next note is this movie feels like it went from cold open right to Act 2.
Yes, there is no preamble. And then we have acts like 4 and 5. We get to like a natural conclusion and keep going.
Act 5. And you're like,
yes.
Well, wait a minute.
I do have Becky written down as my next note, so I did remember that correctly.
Oh, good.
This is when she's yelling at him about not eating and not at all concerned about the fact that she walked in on him mid-satanic ritual, like with a ritual robe and scepter and etc.
Yeah, that's what it is. He looks like a little kid that like saw a spooky movie on TV and is like, I'm gonna pretend that movie now.
Yes, exactly. So we go upstairs, we're having this fight. She's like, I'm going to make eggs. And she starts cracking eggs straight into a pan, no fat, and then whisking in her nonstick pan with a fork. And I know we talk about eggs too much on this podcast, but oh my God, deeply horrified. Put some fat in that pan. You got to have some cooking fat in this house. I don't care what it is. Put it in there.
Yeah, and she's like slamming the things down. She's mad at him. And then all of a sudden, she's nice enough. She's like not mad enough to have sex with him.
Yes. And I love, she's in the bathroom adjacent to this master bedroom, and he's lighting a single candle, which I feel like is just a good analogy for
single taper candle.
Yeah. And it's like, if the best you can do to set the mood is light this single candle, I have a very good idea of what foreplay looks like for you. And we immediately see it's like, well, okay, take your clothes off. Time to do this.
Basically.
He barely gets a single kiss in before it's like, all right, here we go.
And then we see that the camera pulls back and the ghoulies are there while they're going to Bone Town.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of sniffing dogs.
There's a glowing Satan symbol under there. And much like Seinfeld with the sandwich during sex, he's like ritualing to himself.
Yeah, he's whispering Latin in her ear, and she keeps going, what are you saying? What are you saying? And it takes her way too long to catch on to the fact that he's doing a spell of some type. Because
as soon as she realizes, she like kicks him off, and she's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. I'm not here for your dumb Satan business.
She dumps him and walks out. My next note is, God, he looks so old. That's like my 5th note of that ilk.
So he puts on the altar, this goes to him in the altar and costume, and this is when the two little person actors arrive to like start the second half of this, I guess.
Do you think they're supposed to be rats that got turned into people? Because they kind of have that look.
I think that's as good a reading as any, but the helmets make me say no.
Like Gus fell on hard times.
Yeah, no, I think that's as good a guess as any, but honestly, I just don't understand what they're doing here. Like, why? Like, he already has.
They weren't in the opening scene.
Right. And he's made this circle on the ground. It's very much like Supernatural, where they would like call a demon in and put it in a special like holding ritual drawing thing.
The entrapment charm or drawing or whatever.
But I love that. So he's behind the altar doing this summoning. They arrive and they're in this thing, and he's like giving them this special glass of wine. But we cut to the two actor servant people, and the one guy is like currently drinking the wine, even though it's like a full minute.
And then it's handed. He's like handing. Then the next shot is him holding the wine, and the next shot is him being handed. Like nothing is. There's no consistency.
But the best part of the whole thing is, and I don't know if you noticed this, but Jonathan has to come like out from around the altar, like out behind the altar. It's a pretty narrow like shuffle, and then shuffle up. Imagine like a regular folding table, like a 6 foot wide, 2 or 3 feet, 6 foot long, 2 or 3 feet wide table. And he is wearing these very cheap Halloween costume robes that are absolutely extremely flammable in 1985. Probably not so much now.
100%.
But the whole set is lit candles. So this guy is doing like a Zoidberg crab shuffle. Like he's got the robe held in each hand, and it's like baby step, baby step, baby step, baby step. I'm at the corner, okay, and we're gonna rotate right, okay, and then baby step, baby step,
Shuffle,
baby
shuffle,
step, baby
shuffle.
step, and then he gets out in front and is like, I command you. And I was like, nope, sorry. You absolutely cannot show me him do this little baby step shuffle around the table and then have him be imposing. Sorry, nope.
Well, and this is the part we can talk about it now. Finally, he has the green eyes, and it's
Yes.
the opposite of whatever cross-eyed is. Like he's got one eye looking at the door and the other eye looking out the window. And it's
So, at first, they're wrong on the north-south axis. Like, one is pointing south and one is north. And then we cut, and then they're wrong on the east-west axis. Like, they're pointing different directions. Like, they're pointing out. One is pointing due
love
east
it.
and one is pointing due west. And through the whole rest of the movie, the eyes are... There is one scene, the rest of the movie, where they are both
It's not
pointing
even a full
forward where they
scene.
belong.
There's one portion of one scene.
Yeah, one shot, basically. The rest of the time,
It's like
different
one eye's
directions.
one eye's looking at the moon, the other eye's looking at the ground.
And I'm just, like, first of all, they're probably real contacts that this poor actor was
100%.
tortured by. And second of all, if they look this bad, do something else.
Or just draw over it in post.
Right? Just make them solid green.
Just hand animate over it.
Right, they're not. It's like, I realize this movie had no budget, but there are not that expensive solutions to these kinds of problems when you realize, like, oh, we made a huge mistake and we didn't notice how bad this looks. You have to do something.
You have to fix it. We also learned, this is where we learned that the minions' names are Grizzle and Greedy Gut, and I was like, this again adds nothing to this movie.
Yes.
These stupid green frog eyes, because that's what they're not human eyes, they're frog eyes. They're like,
Yeah,
The-
they're
the wide-
amphibian.
the
Mhm.
wide sort of slit eye. Oh my god.
Yeah, or reptilian, I guess it could be construed as, but yeah, either way, they are just like insanely different directions at all times.
And then, plot twist, these two people that we've never seen before know everything about all he needs to know.
Yeah, it's like they've been not only observing him, but have been observing for millennia and know the whole history that he needs to know. And if that's the case, why weren't they summoned first? Like, what is the point? Like,
Or why weren't they in the opening scene?
These people need to be middle management, right? Like, he needs to summon them. They're the middle management, and then they bring in the Ghoulies, and the Ghoulies go buck wild, out of control. Like, they can't get a handle on the Ghoulies.
Exactly.
Much more interesting. Like, we have a tiered system of, like, he's the boss, they're the mid-tier management, and then you got the Ghoulies as the minions running around causing mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
Becky tries to rescue him, and this is the
Wearing sunglasses.
Yes, because the eyes now are doing the north-south. We were doing east-west. Now we're north-south. And he does this, like, sinister smile at her thing just before she tries to leave, and he like freezes her and takes her over because she's wearing the necklace.
Well, it's a weird thing because he doesn't freeze her. He gestures to the minions who gesture at her and she freezes. So
Again, middle management.
How
The minions are the Michael Scott of this situation.
that sounds like the best kind of, like, could you deal with it? So, like, red flag. You can do unlimited magic. However, it all has to go through a second person before the spell can be cast.
Yeah, and if they're in a cranky mood, they're going to do a bad job of it.
They're going to be like, no.
You're like, conjure me some pea soup, and you get the bowl of soup, and it's clam chowder, and you're like, I wanted pea soup, and they're like, well, that's what you get today.
Yeah. Or you ask for clam chowder, and you get, like, tomato bisque, and they're like, well, I thought you could, maybe watch your weight.
They're
Ease up on the potatoes there, buddy.
They're both inept and passive aggressive.
Yes. No, I'm saying they're not inept. They choose not to.
Oh,
They're
okay.
like,
They're just
maybe you can
a-holes.
watch your weight,
Got
buddy.
it. Got it. He invites everyone back to the party, and he and Becky are, of course, wearing glasses because they have the green eyes. But he then gives everyone a pair of glasses to wear.
Do you know why?
I mean, presumably because he was tired of wearing the contacts, but do you have actual information about this
so
movie?
this movie was supposed to be filmed in 3D, and the audience was supposed to put on the 3D glasses when the characters put on glasses.
Interesting.
At least that's the story I read, which makes sense that they started to film it in 3D and realized, no. So it's just like in the movie that people wear glasses.
Huh. So it would be like partially in 3D.
Yeah, so like elements you put them on and take them off.
Interesting, because 85 I think is pretty well past the 3D boom of the 80s.
Well, it is Charles Band, and I don't think his fingers exactly on the pulse.
He invested in it for Parasite and was like, I'm getting more use out of these cameras.
I gotta do it.
We're still filming in 3D. And it's like, nobody wants that, Charles.
I will say I loved her. Becky's got this like slinky black dress on. It's like a one shoulder number. And it's got this like bejeweled spiderweb necklace. And it's
cool
looking.
It is very cool looking. I also, the one dude's glasses are wild. I wish we had an explanation of what they were.
The windshield wipers?
Yeah, but there's like a wire running off them, presumably to the battery pack to make those work.
Yeah.
We don't see that in the movie, but I would have liked.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah. So they're having dinner, and the scenario here is just delightfully stupid. They invite their friends over for dinner, and then they start serving dinner, but not to themselves because you don't eat when you're involved with the ghoulie magic. And the friends are like,
I don't know.
But even further, the friends are like, oh, why aren't you eating? And he's like, we already ate, and no one finds that weird. If I got invited to not a party, but a dinner party, and we all sat down around the table, and the host's spouse or significant other or whatever was like, oh, we already ate, I'd be like, well, this food's poison. I'm not eating it.
Yeah, it'd be like... I would be like mouthful of soup, like blah, and just like let it spit back out onto the spoon.
It's like, that's really suspicious. This is either drugs or poison. I don't want it.
Yes, there's a ghoulie in the beef. There's ghoulie in the soup.
It's a ham, but just so we don't get the tweets. Yes, I'm surprised you didn't recognize that, being such a former ham boy.
I'm a former ham boy.
I know, but you were a big ham boy.
Reformed. And then again with the lazy, I don't understand what's happening. He like freezes all his friends with their wine glasses and magically transport them to a ritual circle.
But just before he does that, there's a great shot of Drooly Ghoulie popping up on the table, and like all I could think of was him being like, "Are we really ruining all this food? That's like so wasteful. That's crazy. Why do we do this? This seems crazy. This is like so terrible."
I also don't know why they did, like, why couldn't, I guess it was, I understand, I guess it would be to hide the ghoulie puppets, but, like, from a plot standpoint, it could have just been like, oh, have a seat at the table, we're getting ready to serve, and then freeze.
Or, here's a beer, sit on the couch, and the ghoulies are under the couch. Like, there's no need for the ghoulies to pop out of chowder and hams. There's just not necessary.
So yeah, he magically, he's like, everyone freeze, and then he magically transports them to the ritual space. And I can't take him seriously when he's got one eye looking at the moon. He's got one frog eye keeping tabs on the moon, and the other frog eye is looking at the grass. And he's like, he's like, Ade due dembala. And I'm like, hey, buddy, you need to not.
Peter Falk has an actual glass eye that acts up significantly less than these, and it was like a running joke for many people to make fun of Peter Falk's eye. Like,
oh really?
I mean, people made fun of it all the time.
I didn't know he had a glass eye. Period.
I feel like every time we talk about Peter Falk, I mention this, and it's the first time you've heard it. You have very specific memento.
I do.
You have Falk mento.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I cannot get over how bad these contexts are. And again, like. You shoot them on film back then, but there were dailies. You would know they were wrong after the first time you did it. And also, there's no way you couldn't tell just looking at the guy.
There's a 0% chance that on set you couldn't tell that these contacts were just like drifting.
They're just nowhere near looking in the same direction.
So he does his little ritual, and then everyone starts screaming, and then the dad zombie screams his way out of the grave, and there's too much screaming, and then he just zaps everyone back to the dinner table, and I was like, this is so fucking lazy.
I was also really disappointed because they're raising the dead. The pop out of the grave is a really cool looking puppet, and then it cuts away and it cuts back, and it's Billy from Hocus Pocus level makeup. Like, it's just like sort of ghost paint on a human.
Although Billy Butcherson makeup is great.
Yeah, that's I was like,
that's
I
Doug
went too
Jones.
Good. Yeah. more like deep background extra on the Dawn of the Dead, the original one, where it's like, we're just going to paint you blue. You're going to be 65 feet from the camera. We're just getting an effect. Like, it's
You're in the back.
Yeah, exactly. They do like hero makeups in the front,
Mids.
little bit, masks in the middle, and then back in the back, it's just like, we're just going to paint you blue.
Here, we're going to smudge some black around your eyes, paint your face blue, and...
Yeah, we don't need to get too involved here.
And this is where I wrote that literally nothing about this movie has made sense so far.
Yeah, no, not at all.
It's a bummer. And then they start boning in the... Some people are like, we're going to bone in the clown room. And then Mariska Hargitay...
Wait, one more. I'm sorry, but he is the best part of the movie, so I'm going to keep talking about him. When they're raising the dead and doing the ritual, Drooly Ghoulie is like panically looking around being like, wait, what's she doing now? Wait, what is he? He's doing the raise the dead. Are you guys aware he's doing the raise the dead ritual? Are you kidding me right now? Nobody's upset about this? He's so upset looking on the stairs.
I love how into Drooly Ghoulie you are.
It's the only thing that kept me going throughout this movie was watching Drooly Ghoulie and imagining what was going through his head, because he looks terrified. He looks like a guy who's in way over his head. Like, I'm just a temp. I'm only here part time. I don't even have health benefits yet. What's happening to me? Like, it's so good.
Kicked in.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on day 17. This is what this job is like.
So
it's so silly.
After he zaps them back to the dining room, he's like, Becky and I are going to go to bed. You can each pick a room to sleep here tonight. And I was like, so in the Friends timeline, they came over, ate soup, and then the host said, I'm going to bed.
Yes. Come over for dinner. I won't be eating. Also, I'm here for one course and then sleep.
Sleep. So 2 people are going to go bone in the clown puppet room. Why?
Yeah. Terrible choice.
Mariska Hargitay and Toad Boy, whatever, go to the fountain and get attacked in the fountain.
Yeah.
And
the fact that Mariska Hargitay went on a date with this guy and was like, yeah, I would like to spend more time of my life with him is
no way.
More inexplicable. It's more inexplicable than Drooly Ghoulie being here on a temp basis.
Yes, I agree. Well, also, fun fact, this is not Mariska Hargitay's real screams because her voice is too deep and husky.
Interesting.
So they're stock screams.
They get attacked by the green toilet sperm ghoulie.
So this is a moment where I think that the movie could have been better, because I think it's a cool idea that the 2 stoners are sitting under, like, with their backs against the bottom of a window so that they can't see outside, but they know Toad Boy and Mariska Hargitay are out there. And she was screaming earlier because he was tickling her. And now she's screaming for real, and they like think it's sex noises. And I'm that is the idea of like a shot of someone giggling that like, oh, our friends are having sex, but behind them you can see they're actually getting murdered. Like, that's a cool shot.
Agreed.
This movie wastes it, but yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. We cut from that to the couple actually getting down in the clown room, which, as you said, is just like,
down to
at
clown.
minimum, I'm putting that thing... At minimum, I'm putting that thing in the closet.
At minimum, that thing's going in the hallway.
Right.
Like, whoop, or out the window. He's not going to notice. It's gone.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Well, also, you missed that zombie dad exploded the door.
That happens right
inside.
Now. No, it's like a glass. It's all glass. It's a glass, like a French door, double door situation, and he blows it off. It's a very cool looking effect. I will give them credit.
It's well done. And then he turns into a sexy lady.
And the guy, the discount Danny Zuko, was the one with, he was with the woman upstairs. He's like, oh, I gotta get some water, putting his pants back on. And he walks down the stairs, sees the sexy woman, and looks up and he's like, thank you, God. Yep. And then out loud, and then is immediately trying to have sex with this lady. And it's like, you were like not 2 minutes ago having sex with a different person.
Well, also, so Zombie Dad's a little gay because the camera cuts away and cuts back, and it is Zombie Dad's tongue wrapped around his throat.
Yeah. I think Zombie Dad goes both ways. When you're living for eternity, I think like the bounds of human sexual intimacy just like seem boring to you.
Oh yeah.
Much like Buffy on Angel, it's like if you're gonna live forever, you're just like gonna try stuff.
Oh, of course. So I'm confused because originally he told, you know, Grisabella and Goobly Guts, I want knowledge. That's my goal. And then turns out his goal was to bring his dad back to life. I don't know. The movie wasn't clear.
Yeah, I didn't even know he knew he had a dad.
I mean, obviously he knew he had a dad.
Well, okay, all humans have dads, but you know what I mean. Like, did he get stories about his dad from the henchman guy? Like,
no idea.
Why does he know about this? I will say the tongue effect is very Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes,
cool.
it is. It's the third one. I think it's the third one. Where the mute
it's a Freddy
boy
effect
lashed to the bed.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's well done.
They allegedly had 5 months of pre-production, and I don't know what the fuck they worked on in that time.
The tongue, the setting up the glass door, and they probably had to build these ghoulie puppets. Like as okay to bad they look, they do take time to make.
You know, well, there are other people who work on this movie. Other people could have been working on the script while they're sculpting out a ghoulie.
Yeah, you could have had, another pass or 4.
He's back in his green froggy eyes.
And Becky is like getting in the bed as he powers up.
Mm-hmm. The little people decide to kill the stoner for some reason.
Yeah, I don't quite get this. And there's also a scene that I find just very deeply out of character that like this stoner can't find a light. He doesn't have matches or a light. Oh, you know what? They do show him having dropped his matches and gotten them wet. So I guess that does make sense. Because I was like, there's no way this guy doesn't have a light. That's sort of his whole dynamic.
Well, then also, I want to say the female minion is... Every time I say minion, my brain goes to the
I was just about to say the same thing.
Those yellow dildos with legs.
Drooly Ghoulie would be the leader of the minions. He got like a bunch of promotions.
Yeah, he would.
And he's like, all right, guys, I'm no longer worried about this. I have a whole army behind me.
But the female minion lady seems to not want to murder, or she does want to murder, and the other guy, one of them is like, why are you killing him? And then they make a reference. They're like, oh, better us than the Ghoulies. I'm like, so you're not working with the Ghoulies?
Right. And the other part that makes no sense to me is both of these people are confirmed to be actually capable of magic. And they're doing so much manual labor. The two of them are dragging this guy outside. Like, are you saving spell slots? Like, what are we doing here? Like, just magically float him out.
Show off.
But just like make him lighter then, like make him float an inch off the ground so you can drag him.
Yeah, but so they're like scared of the Ghoulies, and I'm so confused at this point. And then they throw a Ghoulie on another guy. I'm like, so are you working together or aren't you?
Yeah, they have a little fight with the Ghoulies.
The clown doll thing is now alive. It has green eye goo. And did you notice that it has 3 hands?
I didn't catch that. Are you saying like the 2 regular hands and then also the monster hand?
So there's the 2 hands are outstretched, and then all of a sudden a hand punches through the mouth, and both hands are outstretched, and it claws its way out of the mouth. And I was like, well, what's happening?
Yeah, that does. I didn't catch that, but you're totally right. I also I don't know if that happened. I think it happens right before, but the 2 assistant people take the stoner guy's jacket, the one stoner guy's jacket, and they pretend to be him by standing on each other's shoulders.
Oh yeah.
And which is honestly one of the funniest uses of that I've ever seen in a live action thing, because that's mostly a cartoon gag. But there's smoke. The top one is smoking, like shoulders hunched over, and the guy comes roaring in like, "Hey, don't bogart that joint, man!" And they whip around, and he's like, "That's not my friend. That's 2 people in an overcoat." That is what his face says.
That's 10 ferrets in a trench coat.
Yeah, exactly.
The totally necessary toilet Ghoulie pops up here.
Yeah, it's honestly insane how inconsequential it is, given that it's on the box art.
Well, I'm pretty sure that they came up with the box art and then they were told they had to put it in the movie. I think I read that.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Did you also? I guess you didn't because you didn't notice Drooly Ghoulie. But at this point, the zombie dad guy is talking to the Ghoulies, and he takes a little rag and he dabs the spit off Drooly Ghoulie.
I did notice that he does.
Okay,
he does do a little bloop bloop.
He's like, Drooly Ghoulie is sitting there panicking, like, again, just a temp. This is day 17 for me. And he's like, there, puppet. There's no need to worry. I'll make sure you get to day 30 and get that health insurance. It's very important to me that people in my organization are taken care of. Meanwhile, he's like gutting children.
Don't forget to bring a dish to share to the company Christmas potluck next week. Steve in accounting has a nut allergy.
Corporate has approved 1 beer per person.
Jeans and a wacky sweater have been approved.
You may wear your fun ties on Friday this month. And Drooly Ghoulie's like, I don't have any ties.
And then, so Becky takes a tumble down the stairs.
Yeah, it's quite absurd.
Because they all of his friends have to die for reasons unknown.
Yeah, the spell breaks exactly long enough for her to be like, why, Jonathan? And then tumble to her death down the stairs.
Break her fucking neck.
It's so crazy. Like, why? Why does she get so little?
And then, turns out, Zombie Dad's been orchestrating this whole thing from beyond the grave.
Yeah.
What?
Again,
What?
our necklace theory is like a very minor addition to this movie that improves it tenfold.
Also, there's gods and magic powers, and I'm so confused. And then my favorite, he goes, "I want your youth," and I was like, "Oh, he is." Hey, baby, that's not the that tree
Drooly
might be
Ghoulie
tapped.
looks way younger.
That tree might be tapped, buddy. You might want to find someone else.
Count the rings on that redwood, bub. That's a mighty one.
Crack that leg open and count those rings, because you might want to go for Toad Boy.
I also like that this guy, to have a romantic evening with his lady, lights 1 tapered candle, but to do a satanic ritual, there's suddenly 9 million candles in there. I almost
turns
wish
into Carrie's house at the end of Carrie.
I wish Becky was alive to be mad about this, because she should be.
Also, there's a square elevator cutout that's very clearly visible because the fog is rolling out explicitly out of this square, and I was like, oh wow, we don't give a shit.
The zombie is now wearing the like Satan robes, and Jonathan goes downstairs, and they're like having a verbal showdown of sorts, and we find out that Becky is somehow still like has basically become animated as a corpse and is under his spell, and he like calls Becky to his side. And then does a Star Wars Vader force choke on Jonathan. Like, exactly the move.
Grisabella and Gopher Guts are like, Jonathan's father is the true master. And then later they're like, and then 10 seconds later, they're like, no, don't kill Jonathan. Like, you can't play both.
Yeah.
I need you to pick one. Pick a lane.
When they said the thing about Jonathan's mother, I was like, oh, is she going to show up? Like, is that what the end of this is? Is like, she's been here the whole time?
That woman got a day rate. They couldn't bring her back. They couldn't afford to bring her back.
I was expecting it to be pro wrestling style. Like, by God, that's Jonathan's mother's music. And
she
comes
rises
down
out of the square elevator in the floor.
Yeah, and like, lightning fingers because we're just stealing stuff from Star Wars now. I thought she was going to do that.
Yeah, So I'm confused by like all of that. And then Dad goes, oh, also Zombie Dad is for some reason getting less zombie.
Well, I think he's like draining life force from the two of them, but we don't actually see it. I think that's what he's getting at, because it's like, I'm going to steal your life with a kiss. And it's like, he's been slowly stealing life from his friends.
He says the line, "Kiss me, son, let me drain the life from your lips." So Dad's as gay as a picnic basket.
And also in practicing incest, which is like a very odd add-on to that.
Yeah, and then
Jonathan is like
fight.
Yeah. Jonathan is like getting tractor beamed in for this kiss, and then it's not by God, it's Jonathan's mom's music. It's by God, it's the old man's music from the beginning. It's a Deus Ex Grandpa.
The narrator who showed up 20 minutes into the movie is here now. At one point, even in the narration, he's like, "I wish I could have saved him," and I'm like, "Why couldn't you? Why weren't
Right.
you there? You
Yeah.
you raised him.
And totally agreed. But my bigger issue is they're having a fight, and it's a very, very bad, like, all right, I'll put my hands on your shoulders, you put your hands on my shoulders, we're just going to wiggle around. And they're like, we'll just fix it in post. And by fix it in post, I mean, we're going to do lightning fingers from Star Wars coming out of both of you. It's like, don't, you cannot just take it from Star Wars. I'm sorry. You can't do that.
We also get another moment. So Becky's alive now, and then the narrator goes, "You two get out of here!" And
despite falling down the stairs and absolutely breaking her neck.
Oh, her neck is broken.
The house is like crumbling down around him. As
get out of
happening.
here! And then they spend the next 5 minutes standing there staring at him.
Yeah, they just watch them fight.
And then, like I said, this was written by a
laser
grader.
eyes. Laser eyes is happens to them.
Yep.
They start shooting lasers out of their eyes at each other. It's like
Laser cats.
Yeah, exactly. It's laser cats.
This was written by a third grader because, all of my friends are alive again.
Yes.
I don't know why they had to die in the first place.
They all come running out of the house into the cars, and Jonathan is
It's
like,
daytime now.
yeah, and Jonathan's like, everybody in the cars, we gotta get out of here. And they all hop in and are like speeding away. It's like, wait, what? How on earth are they all alive? It wasn't like they killed the bad guy and a light floated all over the house and undid all the
they
evil.
just came back to life under their dead sheets.
And they're driving down the road, and then it's like maybe 10, 15 seconds go by. There's an awkward silence, and I'm like, oh, there's ghoulies in the car. And sure enough, like,
Well, also, Gooble Gobs and Grumblegoo are there too. They walk out of the house and like wave at them as they drive away.
yeah, they seem like happy Jonathan didn't die, which is odd given that they tried to help kill him not long before.
Yeah.
So this total runtime is right about 78 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Ghoulies 2 and 3 use puppets. Ghoulies 4 has like way different creatures that are played by little people in suits that are like
That's
way different scale. And in Ghoulies 4, the actor who plays Jonathan comes back and plays the same character.
Well, I cannot imagine he did much in between.
Few TV spots, I believe, is mostly what we're looking at. I am so disappointed by this movie.
I
Like
am
so
too.
disappointed by this
good.
movie. And other than Drooly Ghoulie, it's almost unwatchable.
That's the thing. Normally, I'm always like, it's 80 minutes, like it's a breeze. No,
Yeah.
it's a slog. It's an
It's
80-minute slog.
I had to watch it in 2 sittings because I was just so bored. I was not having a great day, and so I just like, I'm not feeling funny, and this feels like torture, so I'm not even coming up with good jokes. Let me come back to this. But yeah, it was a long 78 minutes, which is a crazy thing to say.
It's a weird sentence.
Yeah, it's slow. The creatures, which are fun, are not featured enough to really like be a creature movie.
Yeah, it's not a Gremlin situation, and the writing is so lazy and sloppy.
Yeah, it's really just kind of a total mess. The acting is all over the place. Like a couple of these people are kind of fun and kind of get what kind of movie they're in, but largely not everybody does.
Yeah.
And you can do a cheap effects movie and have it be fun, like Killer Clowns. Like there's plenty of effects in Killer Clowns.
is the perfect example. Because also, like, I don't even know if I'd call that a bad movie. It's just a cheap movie.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think Killer Clowns is borderline bad, but that movie uses props where it's like, several times where you're like, that's clearly a spray painted styrofoam bowl that you put on that thing to look different, but it works because it has the aesthetic. And so you have to make the right choices when your budget is limited, and you can't necessarily make why are there 5 ghoulies? Why isn't there 1 ghoulie or 2 ghoulies? And like use the budget and make 2 really good puppets instead of 5 okay puppets, for example. Or don't hire the 2 other servant characters and put their salary into the puppet budget. Any number of these things.
Yeah, I don't understand, because then you could just make one of the puppets speak. Make one of the ghoulies talk.
Yeah. Drooly Ghoulie was dying to have a voice.
He was.
I had to give it to him. It was begging for it. But like, that's an easy way to do this. So yeah, this is a huge disappointment for something I've been so excited to watch and like so curious about for so long, and that genuinely frightened me just from the box cover as a kid. Like huge letdown for this one for me.
Bummer.
Yeah, and as much
Critters was way better.
Critters rules in comparison to this. I mean, it's like so much fun to watch, and this is just like boring. Yeah, the worst, like I said, the worst thing you can do is bore me when I'm watching your movie. So
That's disrespectful to your audience. Don't bore me.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a hearty not recommend for me. Agreed. Look up if you can find a scene of Drooly Ghoulie. I think like it will enhance your enjoyment of this episode.
There we go.
You know, for getting to see him.
Maybe we'll do another one of those videos like we've done in the past. Yeah.
Maybe if I can find some Drooly Ghoulie clips, but it's just. It's just bonkers how boring this is. I could not believe how much of a letdown this was, and I even had to get I got access to a streaming service to watch this, and I was like, oh my god, I hope there's at least one other movie I want to watch to make this worth my while. But oh boy, yeah, this was a bummer. This was the one I hoped for really good things, and instead got just a poop sandwich. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Don't forget to check us out on social media. When we're on Facebook, we're at Dissect the 80s on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. If you got something to comment about the show or something to say, it would be dissectingthe80s@gmail.com, or you can call us at 856-DISSECT if you leave us a message, and we might even play that on the air. Speaking of that, the other way to get heard on the show is to leave a review, and we just got a review recently that I wanted to share here on the air. This is from Mark TV via Apple Podcasts. 5 stars. Thank you very much. God, these guys are good. I totally just discovered this podcast today, and it is the best. Super entertaining. Thank you for existing. Well, that's a very nice compliment. Thank you so much. Although I am afraid every time we get one of these that we're gonna have that person get a little further into the catalog and suddenly hate us, which has happened a couple times on other reviews, or it's like 5 stars and they get later in and they're like, you trashed a movie I liked, or you said something kind of liberal, fuck you forever, which is amusing to me, but that's fine.
Shit.
Yeah.
I literally said on this podcast, Ronald Reagan chokes on jelly beans in hell. What episode was that?
I don't know. I never remember what those things are from. One day there will be perhaps a more robust fan community to answer the questions of when did we make this joke so I can re-listen to it.
Yes, I can go back.
If you remember, tweet us and I will pass that along to Andrew.
Thank you.
But anyway, if you haven't reviewed the show yet, damn it, what are you waiting for? Go review the show wherever you get it. Leave us a review and we'll read them on the air. But I will say the only ones that I get forwarded to me come from Apple Podcasts. So if you leave it somewhere else and you want me to read it, send that screenshot to dissectingthe80s@gmail.com and I will read it on the air. So go out there and review the show. And more importantly, if you like the show, tell 2 friends. It's the best way to learn about new podcasts is when someone recommends it to you. So if you haven't recommended us or you haven't recommended us lately, tell 2 friends about the show. We'd really appreciate that. Help us spread the word. And don't forget to check out patreon.com/dissectingthe80s for bonus episodes and way to get a sweet Dissecting the 80s sticker and a welcome letter from us.
Yeah.
That's right. Hand autographs from the boys of Dissecting the 80s. Very, very valuable, I'm sure. But again, patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. Thank you so much for listening to the first episode of the Spoooktacular. This is one of our favorite times of year, and we're excited to come back October 18th with is another one I've been excited to watch for a long time, and I think will hopefully be more fun for us. If nothing else, it's got insane Gary Busey energy, so that will hopefully be a buoy. We are doing Stephen King's Silver Bullet, another movie like this one from 1985.
My coworker actually recommended that one to me a while ago.
Yeah, no, it's a good. I think it's going to be a good podcast fodder. I think it's the insane Busey energy, and there's a kid in a wheelchair that gets jacked up to go supersonic speeds. It's insane Stephen King, which is always a fun thing, Maximum Overdrive style.
Yeah.
So until then, I have been Tripp Leno.
I will always be Andrew Leno.
Until next time,
don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production.